Hey everyone, it is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, March 4th. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly Swing Trade Ideas video where we bring you some of the names from our watch list, stocks that are holding up well, showing some relative strength, and ideally are not yet too extended in their move. As always, these videos are powered by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate ideas from their stock lists. You can get access to their stock lists with a link in the description of this video. So we got four names we're looking at in today's Trade Ideas video, all on the long side. And, it's important to note, and just as a general reminder, or if this is your first video catching the Trade Ideas video, welcome. But for me, there's no systems that I trade that short individual stocks. So I don't curate ideas or names on the short side. When we have volatile markets like we've seen recently, what I like to do is effectively just raise cash, park some cash in bond funds, and essentially just wait out the storm a little bit and do exactly what we do in these videos, is just curate ideas and names that are holding up well. So when the market does stabilize, when the market does start to exhibit the sort of characteristics that I look for, then we have a nice ready to go sort of watch list to start accumulating risk again and start buying individual stocks. For me, I'm not shorting individual stocks, and I'm not really doing a whole lot of buying right now either. The primary strategy that we follow here at the Trade Risk, I can link it up in the top right now if you want to learn more, but basically it's not so interested in chasing this market and buying anything up here right now. So you have to, of course, figure out what makes sense for you and what your goals are, what type of strategy you're following. But for me, very patient, building watch lists, just like these names we're going to look at today, and sort of ready to strike when sort of the opportune time starts to present itself. So with that little preamble there, just as some context, let's look at some names here today. The first is TEAM. This one comes from IBD's watch list, and really it's the relative strength that is very impressive here for this particular stock. You can see the extent of the pullback here was 13%, which is more or less in line with broad averages, but this is a much higher beta stock, and you can see if we just zoom out here, the long-term trend that has been in place for this particular name. And if we zoom in a little bit further, you can just see the well-developed base that's going on here, kind of rounding out this bottom over the past year or so of trading, maybe 8 months worth of trading back in mid-2019. And you can see now, if we zoom in a little bit closer, it's basically trading just under its all-time highs, frankly, getting close to retesting those all-time highs with today's session. And again, just holding up nice and strong in this upper level base. So if you like relative strength, if you like growth names, I mean, this is something that should certainly be on your watch list. Whether or not you want to chase breakouts right now in this environment, it's a tough call. But again, if that's your strategy and system, then you have to be looking at this one. So TEAM, that is the first name from our watch list. Number two here is Netflix. Netflix is, of course, a household popular name, and it's one that hasn't really come across my watch list in quite some time. And, this one could sort of go either way. I'm really presenting Netflix here as just being at an action area. And if we go to a weekly chart, I think you can see why. If we zoom out here and take a look at this chart, it's basically been stalled underneath this $380 level for about a year and a half. I mean, going all the way back to 2018. It had a brief all-time high record, just over $400 in early 2018. But then, it pulled back from there, put in a lower high, and it's basically been, since the summertime of 2018, been underneath this $380 level, and it's back up here now for the third time challenging this resistance here. And of course, now it's been plenty of time has gone by since it's been back up here. So for Netflix, if you're looking for a breakout, if you're looking for a bigger kind of rotational name here, I think this has to be on the watch list. It's showing some good relative strength. There's a lot to like here with the MACD on a weekly time frame. And just generally speaking here, it's at the actionable spot. Now, if you don't believe in this market and you are looking for short ideas, well, Netflix is back to multi-year resistance. So if we do see it fail up here, if we see a big thrust off of this level to the downside, it could be an equally interesting short candidate, especially if you're looking for just a short-term swing. So it's really just presented here as a general action area. Netflix historically has been a very difficult short. I mean, obviously there's opportune times where if you're going for a multiple day, multiple week swing, you can make some money off of it, but this has clearly been a stock that has been a monster run to the upside over the many years. So Netflix, tough to bet against. It's back at resistance, something worth paying attention to. So that's our second idea there from IBD's list. Two more coming from our watch list. The first here is PACOM, so PAYC. If we zoom out here and just again take a look at the bigger picture, you can see long-term uptrend is intact. What I like about this particular stock is, notice it didn't even really get back down to reset into the January lows or say the December lows. This did kind of put in a slightly higher low here. This reversal that took place last Friday. Again, we don't know if it's the bottom yet, but basically it didn't come crashing down, violating support, and just causing a ton of technical damage. Of course, this pullback off of highs is a little loose and sloppy, but it is still, structurally holding in this uptrend. It's, respecting longer term support. And so long as it's above 255 or so, I think PACOM is a pretty interesting candidate. So it's on the watch list for us, and I like this for potential going forward. Last but not least, again, another longer term sort of name here is MongoDB, MDB. And if we zoom out here and just take a look at the sideways consolidation that has been taking place just under its all-time highs, there's a lot to like here for the potential for a move in Mongo. There's more to prove. It needs to get over these prior highs here, over $180 more or less. But you can see there's been lots of sideways consolidation. It IPO'd in late 2017. Been in a strong uptrend since then. Recently, again, going sideways here and looking like it wants to work itself back up to the upper end of this range. So again, needs plenty of more time, but I think it's just an interesting candidate here, especially if you're a longer term trend follower or investor looking for just bigger plays, longer holds in growth stocks. MDB, I think, is an interesting one for you to take a look at. So that's it. That's what we got for the trade ideas this week. 4 names, all on the long side, and a couple of longer term outlooks in some of these plays, but nonetheless, I think we got some good relative strength candidates here. So that's it for me. Thanks as always for tuning in. Every Wednesday, trade ideas just like this. You can subscribe on YouTube or follow us at The Trade Risk. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here for our weekend market recap video on Friday.